Let's go down to Jerome's. So the quarterback position is the most important question for the Minnesota Vikings this offseason. Will they bring back Kirk Cousins? Will they bring back Kirk and draft a quarterback? Will Kirk leave in free agency? And that is a major question right now because, I mean, if Kirk leaves in free agency, that sort of puts the Vikings in a spot where, hey, Justin Jefferson wants to know who's going to be throwing him the ball. Do they run it back with a veteran stopgap like Russell Wilson or Gardner Minshew or whoever? Or do the Vikings put all the chips in the middle, shove it in, all in, and gamble it up and try to move to the top of the draft? Now, I fully understand. If they just lost more games, they wouldn't have to trade up. Fully understand that, but accept reality on reality's terms, and this is where we are. So the Vikings currently sitting at 11, and the prevailing wisdom in basically everyone's mock draft 75.2 is that it's going to go quarterback in some order, 1, 2, 3, and it's going to be Caleb Williams, Drake Maye, Jayden Daniels in some order. Now, the Bears certainly could stick and pick and take a quarterback at 1, likely Caleb Williams, maybe Drake Maye. Again, we're still really early in the process, and guys are going to be rising and falling in the eyes of the draft community, even though teams sort of have the hay in the barn at this point. But, I mean, I think Drake Maye is going to turn a lot of heads, especially at the Combine and his pro day. I think that Drake Maye is the best parts of Josh Allen. Maybe some of the worst parts of Josh Allen, too. Also, he's got great arm talent, and I think that I still think that even with all the hype around Caleb Williams, I think there's a good chance. Well, maybe not good. I think there's a fighting chance that Drake Maye ends up going 1 overall. Caleb Williams, all the Mahomes comps, generational talent, blah, 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 can't miss. Jayden Daniels, a true blue dual threat quarterback. And also, I think Penix going to the Senior Bowl is going to do wonders for rehabbing his image after the national title game. But the Vikings, standing outside the fire, and you're seeing things shake out a lot where the Vikings are in sort of no man's land, where this is a deep quarterback class, and I do think that 5 or potentially even 6 could go in the first round, and there could be 7, 8, 9 in the top 100 picks, but there's a clear top 3 where it's Williams, it's Drake Maye, and it's Jayden Daniels. And I think 1, 2, 3, whether the Bears take one or they trade it to a team like Washington or New England so they don't get leapfrogged, I think that in some order, 3 quarterbacks will be off the board. Now, how would the Vikings get up in the top 3? Number 1, the Bears are never trading with the Vikings. They ain't doing it. And if they did, I mean, the in-division tax would be astronomical, because think about it from Poles and the Bears' perspective. If they trade the Vikings the number 1 overall pick and the Vikings take Caleb Williams or Drake Maye or Jayden Daniels and he turns out to be an absolute nail driver, one of the best quarterbacks in the league, you got to live with that twice every single year. All right, so you ain't going to do that. Now, Washington should and could be in the market for a quarterback. I think that they're a candidate to move up to 1 just to make sure that they get their guy and they make sure that they're not leapfrogged. And also, we said this ad nauseum with Magic Johnson. He wants Showtime, and Caleb Williams would be Showtime. Would make sense there. But I think the Vikings could sneak in potentially, where this very specific scenario where the Bears trade down with Washington and all right, so the Washington takes Caleb Williams at 1. We should have done a graphic, but whatever. This is off the top of our head. And then the Bears, maybe they try and find another taker, but maybe they just stick and pick at 2, and they do take a Marvin Harrison Jr. 3, New England takes either Drake Maye or Jayden Daniels. I think Drake Maye makes sense with Boston. And then Arizona, I think Arizona did have eyes for Marvin Harrison Jr. I think there's a clear gap between. I mean, people say that there's not a gap, but I think there is a clear gap between Marvin Harrison Jr., and then you get to Malik Neighbors, then you get to Romeo Odunes, then you get to Brian Thomas, etc. So I think that if Arizona misses out on MHJ, I think they could be open from dropping down from 4 to 11, because in that area, probably still going to be able to get Odunes or Brian Thomas Jr. or able to get a significant wide receiver upgrade in this very deep class. There could be 5, 6, 7 wide receivers in the first round, or at least in the top 40 picks. So then it becomes palatable for Arizona to drop down, and the Vikings moving on up. It's going to be expensive, and the starting price is 3 first-round picks. Whether you're moving up from 11 to 4 or 11 to 3, that's where you're at. But here's the thing, too. I don't want the Vikings to take a quarterback just to take a quarterback, right? If the Vikings, especially if Kirk Cousins leaves, and they have to hit this thing out of the park right away, and the rookie quarterback is likely going to be asked to play immediately, it's got to be their guy. And all the rumors and speculation that the Vikings were looking to trade up for Anthony Richardson last year, it makes me think that Kwesi and Kevin O'Connell, like, they understand that, hey, seat's a little bit warmish right now, and if we're going to go down, we're going to go down swinging. It's going to be our guy. And also, hey, if we screw this up, we're not going to be around to mess up the future first-round picks anyway. So that's the next guy problem. But again, I don't want the Vikings to take a quarterback just to take a quarterback. Like, if it works out that, hey, 3 quarterbacks are off the board and Bo Nix is there at 11 and he's the guy at 11, take him. Or if Penix is the guy at 11, take him. Go ahead. I mean, if it works out there, it works out. But absent that, like, if Kwesi and the scouts and Kevin O'Connell don't think that Nix or McCarthy or Penix are worth the number 11 pick, go all the way up. And hell, maybe New England is sort of like whatever with these quarterbacks, and they're willing to trade down as they look to rebuild with Gerard Mayo in that new regime. So maybe the Vikings can just get in at 3 and no muss, no fuss. But either way, hey, if you're going to gamble, let's gamble, baby. Scared money don't make money, and if there's a way to weasel into the top 3 and you're 100% sold on Drake Maye or Caleb Williams or Jayden Daniels, go get your guy. Go get your guy and start him right away. I mean, no sitting and marinating behind Kirk Cousins, which I do think would benefit a guy like Penix or Nix or McCarthy, but you're all in, and hopefully you find the next CJ Stroud. It's for sure, man. But your thoughts are thoughts. Should the Vikings roll the dice, trade all the way up into the stratosphere to find their quarterback of the future? Let us know your thoughts and our thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But till next time, Skol, production value.